everybody, my name's Kanamanika, and welcome back to the unboxing where Age of the Primes is back again. I know you guys are probably sick of it, but Transformers releases a lot of figures, so this one's a little bit more impactful as it's another one of the Primes. Yes, I've been collecting them, and yes, I'm getting along to the new releases, the ones that just came out, and hey, they're not backlogged this time, at least not that much. I was able to get this one surprisingly early. I thought I wouldn't be able to get my hands on this until like July, but I'm getting my hands on it now. That's right, today we are taking a look at the final leader class Age of the Primes figure, that is a Prime at least. The Transformers Age of the Primes, the 13 Liege Maximo. Originally from the G2 continuity, he has been grandfathered in as one of the Primes, as one of the earliest sort of weird little freaks who are big and powerful and whatever, and I'm excited to finally have a figure of him, and also I'm excited that he's not the weird Loki ripoff, and rather the much more unique and interesting eldritch creature from G2. But yes, I'm very excited because he looks very big and very imposing and very much worth that leader class price point. Here we have the box. As you can tell, it's fairly standard for what Age of the Primes has been doing. Up here we have the count for steps to show that it takes 25 steps to go from robot mode to UFO mode. It's a Transformers figure. This video is for ages 13 and up, so this is for adult collectors or for parents trying to get something for their kids rather than just the kids themselves. This is meant to be informative. We have a window that has a little starry background, which gives us a good look at the figure itself, and you can tell there's a little bit of backpack there, which we'll get to. Right here we have the artwork of Liege Maximo in robot and vehicle mode. He's doing a really cool pose. Transformers Age of the Primes 13 Liege Maximo. This is a Hasbro figure. And the top gives us our Takara logo, a little bit more window, and the 13 Liege Maximo name, as well as Liege Maximo's little personal symbol. On this side, we get the mural piece that says Talawa at the top, has their logos at the top as well. Then we have the Star Convoy, the Megatronus, as well as the inaccurate Liege Maximo, because he has a weird creature head for some reason. I don't know why that happened, but that's not entirely how he looks, though it doesn't look as inaccurate as you might think. You know, Transformers Age of the Primes in leader class in a bunch of languages. The bottom has legalese, and this side has a nice blown up image of that drawing at the front, which looks very nice. I love how it looks. I love how it depicts Liege Maximo, even if I have particular qualms about how Liege Maximo is depicted in this figure itself, which we'll get to. And then on the back, we have the nice CGI renders, which shows the name of the figure, robot and vehicle mode, the steps between, his flippy hand gimmick, his artifact, which is like darts, more than meets the eye, other stuff. That's the package, but we gotta get this unpackaged because what are we doing otherwise? Slice, come on. There we go. But yes, first off, we have legalese and his instruction manual, which is surprisingly small, given he's a leader class, but I guess it's compact. Then we have everything that comes in the set, which is obviously parts for him, accessories. Let's start with the accessories, the actual accessories. Oh no. Oh geez, hope things don't fall over. First off, we have the little core blaster, which has a clear red part, a green part, and a metallic gray part. But it also has his little Liege Maximo symbol, which, if it'll focus, looks really nice. I like how it looks. It's nice in that green. It looks very nice. And it has little three of these 5mm pegs, which are a little bit shallow, but it works, and they kind of look like a booster as well, so that's nice, and I like the shaping on it, though of course, they are meant to hold the darts. First off, we have this one with a little bit of hollowness here at the bottom, but obviously it's in a clear, dark red, and it's nicely textured, and it has a weird alien shape, because these are inspired from some Liege Maximo like art in like a art book or whatever that has him throwing these, which kind of look like spaceships to give him a sense of scale, but they're also the darts. Here we have this one, which is spiky on the sides. It looks nice. I like it. Unfortunately, no paint. And the coolest one is the one with the balls. It has this sort of triangular shape, which obviously could be conflated as something else, but we're not going to worry about that. Little balls on the side. It has a very cool alien shape. And then they go together in a particular order, which I am unsure of. So flipping it around like this, we have bling, blang, and blop, and there we have it. That looks very nice. I like how that looks. I'll probably have him holding this as a blaster. But yeah, it looks good. Turns out well. And that's the accessories because this is part of him. So let's get him snipped out. First off, getting this little piece of the backpack off. Besides, it would be too big if we zoomed in on it. Takes up a lot of space, as you can tell. The tips are rubbery, right? Yes, we'll get into the rubber of it all in a second, but these are nice. I like that. And then, of course, here he is in most of his glory, but first off, we need to attach this to the back. Yes, this is your Age of the Primes Liege Maximo. I believe this is kind of the first Liege Maximo toy. There is obviously the one from Power of the Primes, the weird Prime Master rendition, but that was a weird headmaster, and this is like an actual guy. He's big. Do I have something to show this scale? I mean, I guess I can throw in an average 6-inch Star Wars Black Series action figure of Cassian Andor, so you can tell, yeah, he's big. He's a big ass boy. He fills out his leader price point, especially in an era where leaders are kind of smaller, and like obviously it's smaller than like leaders from like a decade ago, but he feels big and hefty, and like some of that rubber is adding weight, I think, because he has a lot of rubber parts, because he is spiky and they don't want to get in like a liability lawsuit or whatever. I did the full rotation. Yeah, there's the full rotation again. Let's get a close look at him. Starting off with, to me, what is the most controversial part? The head. So obviously this is probably where you see the G2 the most, in this general, like, mess of a head shape, where you have the main core of the head surrounded by this massive crown. And if I was to argue about anything on this figure, it would be this. The little orange part being like a like below an actual mouth feels wrong to me. Like, to me, this always read as the mouth. Maybe I've always been wrong. And to be fair, from a distance, it does still read as the mouth, but I can't help but see the actual mouth. But otherwise, I do like the sculpting on this head. It looks very nice, and I like the silver paint on it. It's really very intricately done. Even if like the top is rubbery, it looks nice. And of course, the little head crest, which just kind of floats behind the actual head, looks very nice as well. I love the shaping, the spikiness of that crown. It really gives him an imposing feel and look. I love it a lot. Anyways, I do want to look at the backpack a little bit, because it does set up some aesthetic conventions with all these nice metallic blue cables with these little darker metallic bits of greebling, and then the main bits. It looks so stellar. Like, he's very much towing a very particular line, where obviously he has these organic elements where he's got like these spikes, or like the shoulder pads, which are all like almost lizard-like. And he has all these mechanical greebles with the cables in his massive pectorals and going down the body, which almost makes him look like he's coming undone at the seams. He just has such a unique, cool aesthetic that I'm really glad was able to be achieved so well in action figure form. But yes, it looks so nice. The metallic blue especially. It feels like they went all out on this. Even where like you might think there might be some areas where like a wash might have been nice to help him feel a little bit dirty, but it does work, I think. The arms, fairly simple. The upper arms have a nice bulbous shape, and then the lower arms, while to show the greebling they are in gorilla arm form, you can easily rotate them around and have those be the sides of the arms. Though that green, I love how it looks, and I love how the darker green kind of peeks through and makes like a sort of panel lining effect. It looks great, and obviously the nice little bits of metallic, and he's got these wonderful clawed hands, which are able to open if I put them on camera, but yes, some wonderful clawed hands that are able to open and close. The closed position looks a little bit awkward, and the thumb is able to move up to make it feel a little bit more natural, depending on how it's meant to look, which very nicely articulated. I'm sure this hinge was for like transformation purposes, but it actually helps it look nice and natural in some really interesting ways, and I really appreciate that. Obviously, this side's a little bit different, as I think you can flip it around. This isn't really articulation, but you can flip it around and get a cool red cannon out of his arm, which is really cool. I think it works really well, especially as him as like a bit of a trickster, having a little hidden weapon up his arm does feel right. And obviously, you can flip it right back into arm position and have the same arm. Obviously, the red shows through a little bit, especially if you're looking at it front on, but it works fine. And that hand does still have full articulation, which is appreciated. Yes, I love the way that the cables move on to the waist area. It looks very nice. It works very well. And look at these little flap panels, which also have the greebling. Wonderful. But yes, nice greebling there. And it goes onto the thighs even as well. Like, obviously these upper bits are not painted. I think they're made out of their unpaintable material, which is a bit unfortunate, but makes sense. But then these thighs, the nice metallic flecked, the main part of it that is contrasted with the cables. It looks like this giant fucking robot, and it's so cool. I do kind of wish the cables here on these lower leg bits were a little bit more painted, though, if I'm to be honest, but it's okay. And then the shaping on it still really works, and the green is a wonderful, nice green. I love it a lot, and I love these little bit of kneecaps, and even the little shell bits on the side, which are obviously for alternate mode, and there's even a little bit of that greebling, even though it's unpainted here on the back. But yes, even these shell bits, they're okay. I don't love them. Are these supposed to be flipped out for stability purposes? Probably. There we go. He does have flip out heels, which are unfortunately in a transparent red. So I guess has a lot of weight to be put on a clear hinge. But yes, there we are. He's got those. And his big clompers also look amazing. I love their nice hoof-like feel. But yes, Liege Maximo honestly is one of the most impressive of the primes, especially as year 2 has been a little bit on the weaker end. The back half of the primes have not been as good as the front half, and I don't have Nexus yet, and it seems like he's going to keep up the trend, and the Sentinel Prime was also just revealed, and that doesn't feel great from what I can see, but Liege Maximo, definitely worth the wait. I've got my qualms, obviously, but he feels right. Let's also get the blaster in hand, why don't we? But yes, he does hold it fairly well, and obviously he can hold the little individual darts if he so chooses, so that's nice. But yes, let's get into the articulation as I want to do. So obviously, let's start with the back horns. These flip back and forth for transformation, but they can be used as bespoke articulation points, which is nice. The shoulder pads are on 5mm pegs that are on hinges, so they are rubbery, so isn't staying on the best, but they do hinge upward. The shoulder pads do hinge upward, which I shouldn't be noting before I note the head. This back piece does not move, but the head is on a ball joint, which allows it to look up. Okay, down, actually very nicely. I love how well he's able to look down. I think that's very good. Tilt side to side, not at all really, and has a full swivel. Yeah, full swivel, even despite the back. And also these parts are rubbery, the top of the head is rubbery. Basically all the sharp points are rubbery, except for these. These are not rubbery. But yes, most of the sharp points are rubber pieces. As mentioned before, these rubber shoulder pads are able to move out of the way. They're also on 5mm pegs and seem to pop off fairly easily, so be a little bit delicate as you move it, but if it pops off, you can pop it back on very easily. There is a little bit of butterfly, I think, mainly for transformation, but like it is kind of there. It's very subtle though, because it is probably mainly for transformation. There's a bit of butterfly, but it is kind of subtle, and it locks in fairly plainly for that, so you're not really getting a lot of the butterfly. The shoulder is a full 360, a bit tight, and obviously is going to be limited by the shoulder pad, though not by much, and obviously you're going to want to work with the shoulder pad, otherwise it makes the arm feel really low. And then shoulder is able to move out 90 degrees. You have a bicep, and also it wants to lock in here at the torso like that. It's a little fussy, so work with it. There is a bicep swivel, a single jointed elbow at both elbows, which is able to go in. I think it's the same. It's able to go in 90 degrees, though obviously it comes gorilla armed. Ignore that. And then a wrist swivel at each wrist. The thumb is able to hinge upward and downward for transformation, and the fingers are all hinged like so. There is a waist swivel. That's the only torso articulation you get, but it is appreciated. These side skirts are hinged upward, so they get out of the way really easily. He's able to kick forward tightly, but all the way, backward, all the way, and outward, basically all the way. The arms might get in the way, but you know. There's a thigh swivel, fully integrated, a double jointed, single jointed knee. There's a second joint in there, but I think it's mainly for transformation. And besides, he's only really, you can use, that's actually very nice. A little bit more than 90 degrees, very nice to see. I think you might be able to use that double joint depending, but it's mainly for transformation. And then foot isn't really able to move forward, but it has a slight toe bend downward, thanks to transformation. No real swivel on it, but it does hinge inward pretty perfectly. So yeah, standard modern Transformers articulation though, with all of the hits you would want. It has the little nice wrist swivels which have been disappearing. It has a waist swivel. I guess it's just missing more purposeful butterfly joints, but otherwise, I think Liege works very well as a guy, and honestly, I'm very impressed. Going into it, I wasn't super impressed because I don't really like the mouth, but as time's gone on, I've come to ignore it and accept it and really enjoy this figure so far, but that doesn't mean squat until I've got this video fully done, which means I do need to transform him, so why don't we? And there we are, and the transformation itself was pretty good, not super standout, and there were some bits that were fussy, mainly getting the little cannon in at the front, but for the most part it was pretty good. It made sense. Just make sure you have the arms positioned back in gorilla mode before you do it, or else you'll probably get turned around a little bit. But yes, the transformation was good, and end result is, in my opinion, legitimately great. I love the shaping of this thing. Obviously, if you look at the bottom, and like a little bit from the side, it's just kind of legs down there, but god, what a cool looking, like, weird avocado alien spaceship thing. I love how it looks. I'm gonna be honest, I feel very biased towards it. I know it's space bullshit, but it's weird alien space bullshit, and I find it so appealing. I want to get up close. Obviously, we have the little darts at the front, but it has this little like cockpit cannon thing and these side bits which almost look like eyes, even though they're just the backs of the feet. And this could be like a cockpit as well, and obviously it looks great. Obviously we have more of the greebling from before. Very nice and symmetrical, honestly, and it all meshes very well. Obviously it's kind of weird and technical, but like it works very well, and I love the specific sculpting on like these almost organic shells on the outside. It is so nice. And obviously the little spiked bits feel very well integrated, all things considered, even though these are very much just the shoulder pads, just the little horns at the top, the little backpack horns, and these are new. It feels very nice. It feels like something that cascades out and shapes outward, and it just works. Even though this crown is very obvious, it still works. And yeah, and this backpack bit providing the little boosters, which implies that it kind of floats like this, almost like a gunship from like Star Wars. Kind of hovers like that, and then these being nice and red with the little bits of greebling between them, and they have some nice 5mm ports, so you can put blast effects in them if you want to, and yeah, this is great. There's some gappiness in the side, obviously, but as mechanical as it is, it feels like you can kind of fudge it a little bit, and even still, what a wonderful little alternate mode. It's probably one of the best of these space alternate modes. It both feels weird and alien, but also nice and cohesive. It doesn't feel like it makes much compromise, in my opinion, and it overall kind of makes Liege Maximo one of the best, if not the best, of the primes. He has an amazing robot mode with some great articulation, a little bit of fussiness in terms of hand feel, but otherwise is fine. A pretty good transformation, which gives you a pretty damn wonderful alternate mode, in my opinion. I think Liege Maximo just kind of works, and if you're only going to get a few of them, put Liege Maximo at the top of your list alongside Megatronus. And besides, he can work as like a villain as well if you just want to have a generic villain, especially if you have like previous G2 characters. It just works. I love it a lot, and I recommend it. But yeah, that's the video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, leave some comments, leaving your thoughts about this video, about this figure, about whatever you think, down in the comment section below. Go check out the channel for previous Transformers videos that I've done. I've looked at a lot of the primes, and you can go check my thoughts on those previous ones, and be sure to subscribe so that you can be here when I cover the rest of the primes. I still don't have Nexus on hand, and I've produced a couple videos for some of the other ones which aren't on the channel yet, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'll see you around in the next video. Bye-bye!